So I'm a short 5'2" blonde kid who grew up shy, awkward, and would turn red in any situation. I was popular in high school, I had a lot of friends, I was athletic, I looked good, but for some reason I was super shy and I was super unconfident. I remember specifically in school I would turn red in almost any uncomfortable situation, to the point where I literally just wanted to leave the class. And this is how I became confident. Most of my family would actually know me as a shy, awkward guy. But now I make videos where I approach strangers, I get girls' numbers, and I'm actually confident in the things I do. And I'm blessed to say I'm part of a brand with over 2 million followers on social media, and part of that is because I took the leap from being unconfident. I made myself get out of my comfort zone. In this video, I want to share everything I've learned about confidence, but I want to start with taking it back a bit to my younger self. Right now I'm 20, I'm out of high school, I don't go to college, but I want to take it back to when I was in 10th grade. In 10th grade, I was super unconfident. I was social with my friends, but I was never talkative to people I didn't know. And this was especially true for girls I didn't know. This is the period of time when I felt red when any stranger would talk to me. And since I never got out of my comfort zone in high school, it lasted all throughout the time I was there. I remember one time when I got to my breaking point, and I want to share that story. I remember I was in the last class of my day, and I was wearing this shirt that I made that said, "Talk about dreams, not people." And that shirt had me on the front of it, and it was me like holding a belt, super corny. It was a good message, but a really fucking corny way to present it. Today, I just happened to have the courage to wear it. It started with a few people noticing my shirt, and then half the people started noticing my shirt. And I didn't really know why, but all of that attention just made my anxiety shoot through the roof. I felt the bangs on my forehead starting to clump up from sweating, and I just felt that itchy sensation that you feel when you start to get really hot from just being super uncomfortable. My hands were getting super clammy. I didn't want to touch anybody. I didn't want people touching me because they would know I'm really sweaty. And so it got to the point where I literally left the classroom. I literally just ran out of the classroom for 10 minutes acting like I was getting water, but really I was just trying to calm myself down so I could go back in the class. The thing with this is I've never done it before, but I've had multiple instances in high school where I thought about doing this. And this happened to be the time where I actually just went through with it and just fucking left. Honestly, this lack of confidence even transferred after high school when I worked at a part-time job at Publix. I remember when the managers would call me in and I would just get so red, I would feel so nervous, and I would just walk in there and my hands sweaty as fuck. I remember it vividly, I've told my bros about this, but every time there was a really pretty girl about to check out in the line, I would literally pray to God that she wouldn't go on my line because I couldn't handle the pressure of it. And to a lot of people this sounds bitch made, but I'm just being honest with you. This short, unconfident blonde kid continued to be my identity until I started Achieve You. Achieve You is the brand that I run with a few friends, and we pretty much go around creating wholesome moments. We go up to strangers asking deep-ass questions, we do wholesome things for people, and it just revolves around getting outside of our comfort zones and even getting other people outside of their comfort zones. In my eyes, we started it because we wanted a way to build a huge following, but without compromising our morals as people. And the way it makes sense to me is I'm able to do that through building meaningful connections with people. And through Achieve You, I've probably 10x my confidence. Most of our content revolves around getting uncomfortable, getting vulnerable, and just opening up to complete strangers, and even them opening up to us. And it also involves the thing that I fear the most, which is cold approaching strangers. When we started doing the things we do at Achieve You, all of us were pussies. We always found an excuse to just stall and wait to approach somebody, but eventually we all got better. And I'm really blessed to have a small circle of friends who actually want to see me do better and see me get out of my comfort zone. And it's likewise, I want to see them get out of theirs too. Where I used to just let fear hold me back every single time I would try to talk to somebody, now I try to have the courage to actually do it. I want to give you a little tip on confidence. Confidence is not built through having a positive outcome consistently. Confidence is actually built through repetition and getting those failures, but not letting them hold you back for the next time. A lot of people see courage as having no fear, but courage is being able to take action with fear. I still fear approaching people, especially when it's the first interaction of the day. I've talked about this in my free weekly newsletter where I just share meaningful shit in my life. It's in the description. But the first interaction of the day is always the hardest when we go film. And a typical film day looks like this. I have a mic in my hand and a cameraman somewhere with me. We stall for a few minutes before one of us reminds us that we're stalling. And from this point, I realize that I'm avoiding pain. And that pain is confidence. If I walk up to somebody today, I might feel inferior. They might think I'm weird as fuck. They might reject me and it becomes really embarrassing. But each time I end up saying fuck it and I just approach somebody, and the same thing happens literally every single time. It goes well and I keep wanting to approach people. And then after I've approached dozens of people, I have a good feeling. And that feeling is creating meaningful connections with people I've never met in my life. Yes, I get rejections, but those rejections are what build confidence. Because like I just said, confidence is built through repetition. So having those failures allows you to not rely on the outcome. It allows you to just rely on doing the action regardless. And overall, when I do these things, I feel more confident in the moment. And this brings me to an idea, and usually everybody's problem: cold approaching strangers. I'll be honest if you be honest. The thing that makes us most uncomfortable and makes our confidence shoot through the floor is when you have to approach a really attractive girl or a really attractive dude. So why does this affect my confidence? Probably because I put the focal point of my confidence around these ideas. The things that take up a lot of my mental space end up being the center of my worldview. It's probably the same for you. But what can I do to not have it affect my confidence? I can Let's start by realizing that it's really not as big of a deal as it seems. The things that I value so much in my level of confidence isn't even the things that other people even notice. I can also start with realizing that I can just give less fucks of what people actually think of me. When you walk into a room and feel all the tension and pressure on you, realize that every single person who walked in there felt the exact same way. They're all centered on their own lives just like you're centered on yours. And when you realize this, there isn't as much pressure as you think. I need to realize that if I approach a girl and it ends up being super awkward, all that turns out to be is a rejection and she just thinks you're a little weird. And it's exactly why you feel so unconfident. But once you realize how little significance this has on your life, then you'll be able to go to the next level. Something I made a conscious effort to do is to get out of my comfort zone by asking girls for their numbers who I find attractive. And I get rejected probably like 50% of the time. And at first, it used to feel like such a huge deal because I would think about how they'd see me again and how they'd have this perspective on me. But I realized that it doesn't fucking matter at all. And this brings me to the pivotal point of this video. How you can build confidence. These are 3 things that I did to help build my confidence. Hold eye contact, practice CCA, and cold approach strangers. Let's start with eye contact. 2 years ago, I was the guy who would never hold eye contact with anybody. I remember if I was in the hallway at school, I would just look down, and if I would look somebody in the eye, I'd immediately look in the way if they saw me. But in my senior year of high school, I became so tired of being unconfident and making every situation hurt, so I decided to do this little ass trick that ended up changing everything, and it's holding eye contact. I started by looking at everybody in the eye, including teachers, students, and pretty much any time I felt uncomfortable doing it. Yes, I got red. Yes, my hands got sweaty, but I still did it because I knew that this is the thing that I need to do to get out of my comfort zone and to actually build confidence for real. It's something that's so simple and so fundamental, but having the humility to understand that the fundamental things are what set you apart is going to make you go forward. Most people actually can't hold eye contact. They feel too uncomfortable. But if you practice being the small percentage of people who can hold eye contact, you're already ahead. I don't want to make this something that you just never implement, so I want to challenge you for this week. I want you to practice holding eye contact for at least 3 seconds with everybody you talk to. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but you'll realize how powerful it feels and how empowered you feel after you actually do it. Eye contact is my favorite way to build confidence, but it's only a small part of the next thing that you need to do to actually build confidence, and that's the confidence zone courageous action. I only made this acronym so that you'd wait to watch the video to see what it was, but this literally just means doing small things every single day to get out of your comfort zone. I've also written about this in The Stain, which is my newsletter, but I've realized we all have a comfort zone with a barrier that we're attached to. The initial breakthrough of this barrier is always the hardest, but once you actually climb that barrier and you actually step outside of your comfort zone, it becomes so much easier to keep doing those things. I've noticed a direct correlation in my life with doing uncomfortable things and feeling more confident after. About a month ago, me and the boys went to USA to film videos, and there's these little rooms in the library of USA which are like study rooms. I thought of the idea of just going in those study rooms, and I told Cody I felt super uncomfortable, and that kind of triggered me to do it. And when I went in those rooms, it ended up turning out great. Everybody was super inviting. I felt confident even when all the attention was on me, and I left the room wanting to open all the other doors too. And this leads me to my biggest issue with confidence: girls. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of success approaching girls. I'm literally barely 5 foot, and so all my life I've never been confident about approaching girls because I'm literally tiny. If I'm being totally honest, I'm still not super confident with getting girls. But recently, I'm just saying fuck it. Recently, I've been ignoring my insecurities and just approaching girls I find attractive. But that also plays into a role of why I don't approach many girls. I've realized that I'm a really picky guy with girls. With this said, I want to bring up 2 recent interactions. For this first story, we were filming at USA, and there was this girl with super pretty blue eyes, and she was actually kind of cute to me. Ladarius actually asked her a question to get her in the video like a few minutes prior, and she asked me what it was for. So I typed in our social media for her to check out, and I looked back at her, and she was like leaning over her chair, looking all cute and shit, just smiling at our videos. So I got up and I just walked up to her, asked her for her name, and told her she had pretty eyes. And at this point, all my boys were in some random ass area in the library, so I told her I had to go meet with them again, and I asked her if I could get her number before I go. She said yes, and my phone was dead at the time, so I put my number in her phone. While I was putting my number in, I asked her if she's ever been to Pensacola. She said she has family in Pensacola, and we just had a little bit of a light talk, and then from there I just told her to have a good day, and I walked away. During that interaction, I actually felt confident. I didn't feel any nerves. I felt calm. I was looking at her directly in the eyes with a smile for the whole time, and I felt fine. But with this next interaction, I was a nervous wreck. This next interaction was about 3 days later in our hometown campus, University of West Florida. Me and the bros were just standing right outside the library, and I saw this girl starting to walk up towards the doors. We were like 10 feet away from the doors, and she was just walking towards them while we were standing away from them. And I noticed that she kept looking at my direction, so I would look at her. And then when I would look away, I would talk with the boys, and I'd look back at her, and I noticed she would look back in our direction. And to be honest, I don't even know if she was looking at us. But when she walked in, I looked at her one last time just to get another look, and I noticed she literally turned her head to look at me. I had to go raise her up. I went inside the 3rd floor to go look for some water so that I could clear my throat because I was kind of nervous. And apparently they don't have fucking water fountains on the 3rd floor. When I was looking for water, I came back and I assumed she was already in the library, so I started walking the perimeter to see if I could find her. And I walked around a bookshelf, and there I saw her. She was tucked in the back of the library. I walked up to her and told her that I noticed she noticed me looking at her, and so I wanted to introduce myself. I told her my name while I shook her hand, while my hands are probably shaky as fuck too. And the next thing I said was, I'm not gonna lie, I'm super nervous right now, but I wanted to see if I could get your number before I go. I don't even know why I was so nervous, but I was shaking out my boots. I think I was nervous because when I walked up to her, she was cuter than I thought she would be. Anyways, I want to leave you with a few pointers that I've learned cold approaching strangers. You can't rely on building confidence from always having a positive outcome. Confidence isn't built from getting a positive outcome every time. It comes from getting rejected, but not letting that rejection affect you. The second pointer is whenever you feel that fear like settling in you, that's your cue to take action. This is the time that you need to be courageous. Courage isn't built with having no fear, it's taking action regardless of whether the fear is there or not. The last thing I want to mention about confidence is my height. I told you earlier that I was short as fuck, and usually it doesn't really affect me. But whenever I see a 6-foot, jacked, bearded guy, I don't know how I'm gonna compete with him. My height is the one thing that I actually can't change, so I really shouldn't let it affect me. Maybe I just need to say fuck it and just get over it, but like, sometimes it just gets to me. I wanna finish off this video with the idea of just visiting confidence. You know how you'll see a family member after not seeing them for years, and it's really awkward at first, but after a few minutes you feel totally comfortable again? Confidence is the same way. There's this confidence zone that we all have, that we step into from time to time. This is like that feeling where you have a boost of energy and you just feel really good for a period of time. But if we only visited this confidence zone, that means that every time we step into it, there's friction. It's kind of like the comfort zone thing I talked about earlier. When you only step outside of your comfort zone from time to time, it makes it to where every single time it's just weird and it feels like uncomfortable as fuck. And when I mentioned that once you actually start to live outside of your comfort zone, this is the same for confidence. Living in the zone of confidence means removing that weird barrier that we all feel. And it means living life in slight discomfort at all times. And this just helps you stay in that zone. Whenever we have 2 film days in a week, I usually feel so much more confident on that second film day. And it's because I stepped outside of my comfort zone and went into my confidence zone on the first day, and that transferred over to the second day. But whenever there's that rare time where we skip like a couple weeks of filming, going back into filming, it feels like my confidence starts back at 0. So something I want to take with myself and I want to challenge you to do is practice living in your zone of confidence, not just stepping out of it from time to time. Every day practice things that get you out of your comfort zone and help build your confidence, because this will help you live in that zone and remove that barrier that's always there. And this means doing the things you're scared to do. So fuck it, we ball.